Hi everyone, my name is Heather Graveline and welcome to Aurora Essence Healing. Today I'm going to be sharing my second story of my series of stories for all of my followers and anyone who wants to come for a session. Please let me know. And if any of these things kind of resonate with you that I'm saying, please let me know in the comments. And if you want to private message me, that's fine too. I welcome all communication, so thank you for tuning in. So my second story is probably between 4 and 6 years old. We moved as a family to a new place to live with family, and my dad and my mom at this time, I'm thinking, was probably starting to get a divorce around that time. So my dad, I remember him getting a different house, and this is in Dayville, Connecticut, and in kind of like a country setting. So it was a raised ranch setup sort of house, and I remember being in my room there, and I still had Teddy Ruxpin and all of these different dolls that could talk and things like that and move. You had to put batteries in them and things like that, you know. You couldn't charge them, but you had to put batteries in them to make them work. And I remember as I'd be playing in my room or just hanging out on my bed, I'd feel like a presence pop into my room. And it would be I would instantly hide under the blankets at this time. So pretty much would go to sleep, and then I'd start getting all these thoughts in my mind, and I didn't actually know where they were coming from because they weren't something that I really, was thinking about in the day. I wasn't watching them. It was just kind of if you thought of an old movie reel, and it'd be different slides of different things showing up. So when I had these things, I instantly felt an energy in the room with me again. So I would cover myself. I would sleep with just this little itty bitty hole to breathe out of. I was so freaked out. And then after a certain period of time, my toys that actually had the ability to make noises or move and stuff like that, if you put batteries in them, would start going off. So they wouldn't always sound exactly the same or that they should have. Sometimes it would just be a couple noises. I actually decided that I was not having any batteries in my room or in my belongings anymore. I actually unplugged everything, and as weeks went on, my toys and these dolls kept going off, and their eyes would seem to be moving. And you want to say, okay, that's just a childhood freaked out. But I was so freaked out by this and believed this so much, and would take the batteries out and I would chuck these dolls and things down my basement stairs. I'd lock the door, and I would be I don't want them in my space anymore. I was totally done with this. And after I did that, of course, my parents would bring them back upstairs and be I don't know why I found your doll there. I never said anything to my parents about any of these things happening. I don't know if any of my siblings did either, but, it was kind of just a daily occurrence. And then I started realizing that I felt a Native American energy, and predominantly feeling a male energy, and a couple of them. So I was starting to be told that this was Native energy from the land, that we lived there, and it ended up being don't be scared of this, but this is just how your life is. So I remember being there at this time, and one day, we had sliding glass doors in the living room, between the living room and dining room, kitchen area. It's kind of an open space. And would always sit there to like look outside at the clouds, or I'd sit there with our dog and I'd sit there and watch lightning and things like that. But a bird one day came and hit the window right in front of my face and like was like bank, and it just dropped and it unfortunately died. And all of a sudden I was told like immediately, your grandfather's going to die. And I remember it being probably between like 3 and 10 minutes later that my dad got a phone call, and he started bawling his eyes out instantly. And he did end up saying, you know, your grandpa Melvin did just die. He passed away. And that really, really shook me for many different reasons. Obviously, as a kid, I was having these experiences that I wasn't telling anyone about. I literally had a, you know, animal depart. This poor bird just departed right in front of me. And then my grandfather had just passed away. And my dad was extremely sad and dysregulated. So that was a really huge moment. And it was definitely a different experience than I think a lot of my peers were happening to have every day. So yeah, that was a very intense, you know, situation and time period of my life, being in that, you know, specific house on that road. I am trying to not say the names of the places because I don't want anyone, you know, getting freaked out about any of the locations or anything like that. But, you know, at this point, I realize I'm like, oh, okay, I'm having some ghost or paranormal experiences. So that's when I decided I wanted to learn about things like that. And I'm going to leave this episode now, and I'm going to save my next story for how I started learning that stuff. Thanks for joining me today. I hope to see you in the near future. I hope you watch some of my other videos. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.